Welcome back to the Greenway Outdoors vlog. Today we're going to be talking all things scuba from a beginner's perspective. It's going to be a little atypical compared to our usual vlog, but we have a lot of footage from our trip to Hawaii where we got our certification, and I thought it'd be cool to put a video out there for the people wandering YouTube that want to get a good idea of whether or not scuba is for them. So we're going to start off with a few of the items that we use, and our first item is our first stage and second stage. So to clarify what that means, so the first stage is the piece that would go onto your air tank that has the pressurized air that you breathe. And so what you do is you unscrew this, you slide this over the top of your air tank, you tighten it back down, you turn your air on, and that will feed air into your second stage. This is your second stage, which is your regulator. You breathe through this. Obviously everybody's seen the pictures and videos of that. And then attached to the system is also your dive computer and your pressure gauge. The pressure gauge will show you how much air you have left in your tank and when you need to start thinking about heading back up to the surface. And your computer will help you know how deep you are, know how long you've been underwater. It will also help you do something called a safety stop. A safety stop is something you do when you are coming back up from depth and you are giving your body time to kind of decompress back into its natural environment. Then our other piece of equipment is our BCD. It's basically a backpack / jacket that you would wear, and it's attached to your air tank, and you can press these buttons to inflate or deflate the BCD. The purpose of the inflating and deflating is to help with your buoyancy underwater. So if you're trying to maintain a certain depth, say 20 foot, you can inflate this just right that you should be able to stay at that depth. On the back of the BCD, this is where your tank straps on, and then you would have your hoses attached to the tank. The stuff you use to scuba dive looks pretty complicated, but once you get your hands on it, it's not as complicated as it appears to be. I'm not going to go through everything that this BCD does as far as functionality goes. I'm more so here for encouragement for the people who are thinking, is scuba diving for me? And for the people out there who say they're a bad test taker or they don't do well under pressure, I would not stress about that at all. If you have a high school diploma, you can for sure pass the scuba certification tests. As far as remembering all the information, it's not that difficult. If you have a genuine interest in scuba diving, you're gonna wanna learn it anyways, and you're gonna retain it really well. So now we're gonna talk about why we decided to get scuba certified. We had a trip planned to go spearfishing in Hawaii to film an episode for the History Channel. And there's a lot of difficulty that comes with filming people in the water. We have a really awesome underwater rig. I'll grab real quick. This is our underwater rig. Freediving with this and trying to film two other people spearfishing who are also freediving would be incredibly difficult. So that's why we decided to get scuba certified. It would be really hard to freedive with this thing. So our certification process began in Flint, Michigan at a store called the Dive Shop. The pool time is a super easy process. It's just getting you familiar with the equipment and understanding the order of operations while diving. Some of the exercises you'll learn are learning how to take your equipment off underwater in case you need to get out of your equipment. Or if your mask got kicked off, you'd be able to replace your mask underwater and clear it of any water and be able to see again. That's primarily what the pool time focuses on, and the footage you're seeing is us just practicing some of those exercises on our own time. We got free time in the pool, so we got to swim around and goof around and test our camera out. Because it was cold in Michigan and there was still snow on the ground, we couldn't go do our open water tests. The reason that they bring you to open water, such as a pond, lake, river, ocean, is they just want to make sure that you're going to be able to handle yourself in a situation that is not as controlled as a pool. Because it was so cold in Michigan, we had to go to Hawaii to finish this certification process. We worked with a dive shop there called Hilo Ocean Adventures. The people there are amazing and would definitely recommend that company if you ever go to Big Island. Our instructor was Mark Yaki, and he was phenomenal. When we got there, he did some review with us just to make sure that we retained some of the skills and knowledge from Michigan, because he hadn't met us before. So he just wanted to make sure that we knew that, which is good that he did that. If you're looking to get into this, your instructor wants to see you succeed. This is not a hobby where the instructors seem like they're out to get you in any way. They're there to help you. So any questions you have, any concerns you have, they're there for you and they will help you. So before we went out, Mark kind of gave us a pre-dive briefing of what we should expect as far as conditions in the ocean, because you have to worry about wind and tide and waves and all those sorts of things.
You can see the swell is already way down, the winds are coming offshore, so it looks like a great day to be out on the boat.
Right. Awesome, awesome. Yeah,
fantastic, awesome.
So then we pack up in the van and we head to our dive location. Mark walked us out to the spot where we would be getting into the water, just to brief us again on what we should expect, what we'd be doing underwater, what skills we would be practicing. And I'm leaving some footage in there to show you what a good instructor looks like. This is how conversations should look. He was very thorough. He's just doing his due diligence with his students to make sure the process goes as smooth as it possibly can.
So this is going to be our entry area right here. You see this area right down there? Right now, low tide is climbing to high tide. We'll stay in this little cove here. It's about 5 feet deep. Just hang out there until everybody's in, got your fins on, mask is on, everybody's good, right?
okay.
Then we're going to go just outside that rock out there. It gets to about 8 feet. And that's where we're going to start doing some of our skills. So the first skill that we're going to do is we're going to do our cramp release, right?
Yep.
In the water.
Stretch.
So you'll do buddy and you'll do self cramp release. Then we're going to do tire diver toe. We'll just do a little circle out there. Just get a feel for what it's like to push somebody with their feet and pull somebody with the yoke, right? In an open ocean environment. Then we're going to work on our signal buoy marker deployment. So this is one you haven't seen probably before in the pool. So surface marker buoy is a device that we use.
Inflate.
We can inflate if we're diving to let ocean other people know where
Ironically,
we
we did do that one in the pool.
Oh, nice. Good. So we're going to go over that as well. All this is right here in this area. And then lastly, what we'll do is remove and replace your gear on the surface. Okay, remember, remove and replace the gear. It's orderly, slow, methodical, top down, and then bottom up, coming back the other way. Remember, you're taking your left hand through the strap. So you rotate out so your regulator stays on this side, in case your regulator is in. Pretty calm today. We should be able to manage on a snorkel, but if it's too much for your snorkel, so that'll be dive one. Then we'll come out, we'll get our gear off, we'll change tanks, we'll get some snacks, and talk about the next dive.
Okay.
Make sense?
Fair enough.
Cool. Okay, questions?
Sounds like a fun day.
Yeah.
It's so weird because right now it's 7 o'clock at home right now, 7 p.m. And we stayed up till, 10 or 11 here this time last night after a campaign of like 24 hours.
Wow.
So we feel like I feel completely, normal right now.
Okay, good.
Assimilated to it.
Good. So anyway, so that's what we'll do. We'll go get our gear. You can pull it up over here, and then we can get geared up.
So at this point, we walk back to the van, we get our gear, we get suited up, and it's time to get in the water. I'll say this about the first time you go underwater, whether it's in the pool or if it's in an actual body of water, it seems very, very unnatural, but you get used to it super quickly. You just have to trust that equipment and understand that it is made to be reliable and safe. You'll never be put in a position in the training where it's going to be outrageously unsafe or the equipment's unsafe. They do their due diligence with making sure everything is flawless and perfect. So for the nervous Nellies out there, I wouldn't get too concerned about what if this, what if that. You're never deep enough that you can't just swim to the surface and be fine. So just keep that in mind if you feel like you want to get involved in this hobby. So here you can see the three of us, AJ, Kyle, and I, swimming out to our training location, so to speak, where we will practice some of the skills. Here, Mark is telling Kyle and AJ to work on some of their buoyancy. In the footage, I'll show you what good buoyancy looks like from Mark and how dialed in he has it versus us and how we swim. You can tell that we have the rookie swimming method. So here's another skill I talked about earlier. It's the ability to remove your equipment and put it back on in the event you ever needed to. Kyle did it, and now it's my turn, so I'm taking my equipment off. Then eventually, of course, I put it back on. Mark gives me the clap, the fist bump, the explosion, and he says, follow me over here. We're gonna go work on another skill. Right here, you can see Mark taking off to go swim. Notice his arms. He's not doing anything with his arms. And then Kyle, who's trying to work on his buoyancy, but again, it's a skill you really have to work on. He's using a lot of arm motion to keep him up off the reef. And same with myself here. It's just a skill that we don't have yet. You kind of have to use your arms to orient yourself properly. With time, you get better. So here, Kyle and Mark are working on their emergency ascents. So in the event that there is ever an underwater emergency, this is the process that you would use to get back to the surface safely. This part right here. No one could have planned this, no one could have known it was going to happen, but it speaks to like what scuba diving is like, in the sense of you don't know what to expect as far as what you're going to see. And what ended up happening was we were swimming along the reefs, just checking things out, and we come along the sea turtle, and as you can see, he is just completely tangled up in fishing line. Mark handed Kyle a dive knife, and Kyle was actually able to free that turtle of the fishing line. You see him get a little rattled by Kyle coming up close to him, but Kyle was able to cut that string and free him. So now at this point in the video, I'm just going to show you guys some footage kind of while I talk and go over some things. This footage you're seeing is just me messing around on the reef, practicing filming people and things and my movements, my buoyancy, in preparation for filming the spearfishing episode for the History Channel. For the people wondering what equipment to get, I wouldn't get too caught up on that. I would ask your dive shop, your instructor, what they recommend, what they like, what they don't like. But I also wouldn't break the bank on buying the top-notch stuff because you somehow think it's safer. These companies are not going to put out equipment that is inherently unsafe. They're going to put out quality products. The other aspect of it is physical limitations. I'll say this about scuba diving. It is as hard as you want to make it. So if you want to go underwater and swim a mile against the current in this amount of time and be huffing and puffing, you can do that. But if you're also the type of person that wants to just go underwater and sit on the seafloor and just watch the fish swim around you, you can do that too. It's not really that physically demanding of a hobby. Again, it's just as hard as you want to make it. If you have any questions about the specifics of scuba diving, what about this, what about that? Like I had a lot of questions about like, what are all the little tabs on the BCD? What do they do? What does this do? What does that do? I'm happy to answer those questions in the comments. I will say talk to an instructor at your local dive shop and get their thoughts on whether or not this is for you. I think everyone should at least try it once because it opens up a whole new world of exploration as far as something to do when you have some free time or when you're on vacation or when you're filming for the History Channel. So I hope this helps some people ease their tension about getting into this hobby. I would really recommend it and push yourself to do it, even if you're a little bit uncomfortable. The people who are instructing you want to help you. They want to see you succeed. And the likelihood of you being able to do that is really, really high. So just go check out your local dive shop and see if you can do it. And I'll let Kyle do the closer that he did over in Hawaii.
Well, that wraps up our dives. We got all 4 of the dives done. So now
we're official.
Now we are PADI certified, thanks to Hilo
And Mark,
Ocean Adventures and the PADI Daddy, Mark, who hooked us up. It was awesome. It was a great experience. We saw so many fish, and now we get to go film an episode for the History Channel with our new skill. So be sure to check that out when it drops in probably October. We'll see.